homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted. So what we talking about? Convict some of these perpetrators that rape these women that are sitting behind you that you refuse to even acknowledge they are.
This is one of those moments where a congressional hearing turns into something much bigger, something more intense, more personal, and far more political. Because what starts as a routine exchange quickly turns into a full confrontation. You have Jasmine Crockett refusing to question Pam Bondi and instead using her time to directly accuse the Department of Justice of protecting powerful individuals. And then it escalates, bringing in references to Jeffrey Epstein and raising questions about Donald Trump. The tension builds, the accusations get sharper, and it all leads to a dramatic walkout. Watch closely.
A gentlelady from Texas is recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And to be clear, I'm not going to ask any questions of this witness because this witness has revealed that she has no intentions of answering questions. But instead, I'm going to ask some very basic questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballant, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massie, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on, and frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter. So let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, "this is a good one." Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Excuse me, gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, my friend, for many years. I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try, Congresswoman Crockett, to ask any questions, because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted.
You know,
So what we
Estrada,
talking about? Convict
Texas,
some of these
convicted,
perpetrators that
homicide.
rape these women that are
Chairman,
sitting
time
behind
belongs-
you,
time
that
belongs
you
to the
refuse
gentleman
to even
from
acknowledge
Kansas.
they are here.
What you just watched is not a normal hearing exchange. It is a complete shift from questioning to messaging. From the very beginning, the decision to ask no questions changes everything. Because instead of a dialogue, this becomes a one-sided narrative, fully controlled, fully intentional. She starts with simple moral questions, right or wrong, clear answers that no one can deny. That is strategic, because once that agreement is established, she pivots and suggests that the administration and the Department of Justice fail to meet even those basic standards. Then comes the direct attack. She challenges Bondi's competence, her leadership, and her credibility. This is about weakening authority in real time. Then the tone shifts and becomes emotional. She addresses survivors, calling them strong and courageous, and in contrast, she presents the Department of Justice as failing, as ineffective, as lacking integrity. That contrast is powerful because it builds emotional connection before moving into stronger accusations. Then the argument expands. Now it is about alleged actions by the DOJ, claims of protecting powerful figures, and covering up critical information. This is where Jeffrey Epstein becomes central. She points to the Epstein files, arguing that Donald Trump appears frequently, mentioning thousands of references and connections to Mar-a-Lago. She brings up specific examples, including alleged interactions involving Ghislaine Maxwell. But she also adds a key line, saying she is not directly accusing Trump of being a pedophile. That distinction matters, because it allows her to raise serious concerns while avoiding a direct claim. It is a rhetorical strategy, suggestion without direct accusation. Then the narrative grows even larger. She calls it a cover-up and says the administration is complicit. Now it is no longer about one issue. It becomes about a system and alleged widespread corruption. She closes with a strong statement, saying Bondi will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals, accusing her of choosing loyalty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. That ending is designed to leave an impact. Then comes the response, which is much shorter. Instead of addressing the main accusations, Bondi shifts the focus. She brings up criminals from Texas, redirecting attention away from federal issues and toward the Congresswoman's home state. This is a deflection strategy, Crockett interrupts, pushing the focus back to victims. And that is where the tension peaks. Because now it is no longer a discussion, it is a clash of narratives. One side is arguing corruption at the highest level. The other is redirecting attention to different issues. Two completely different messages. And then, Crockett walks out. That moment matters, because walking out is symbolic. It signals rejection, and refusal to continue the exchange. Politically, moments like this are powerful. Supporters will see strength and accountability. Critics will see political theater and unproven claims. And that divide is what makes moments like this spread, because they do not just inform, they reinforce beliefs. In the end, this was not about getting answers. It was about controlling the narrative and shaping perception. So now the question is, do you see this as accountability or political performance? Let me know in the comments, and if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.